post data through APIs to your database, right? So basically, Vue 3 is an updated version, and then to install that, you need to install Vue 3 CLI. You may go to the Vue official site. Let me check. All right. So if you go to this particular site, vue3.vue.js.org, so this provides a lot of good, documentation to guide you throughout the Vue 3 learning process. Now there are various ways of using Vue. So you can go to the CDN package, import the CDN package, and then use it in your VS Code, and then create Vue.js project. But however, there are limitations to this. Maybe when you want to create a full-fledged project with for creating a lot of components and all, this may not be much helpful, for importing CDN packages and all. But however, to have a full-fledged utilization of Vue, we have npm packages which you need to install. However, if you like to go with CDN packages, this is the script that you need to import. Now for our best utilization of Vue, we want to go with npm install. This is the command npm install Vue next. So you can specify the version over here. Instead of next, you can specify the specific version. uh, Now we have installed a latest version, that is 3.3 plus, I believe. Yeah. Now after this, probably you can install white. So this helps in quicker building of Vue apps. Now after installation, let me show you the Visual Studio Code. So your project looks something like this. Now I've already created certain components for the interest of time, and let me walk you through this. So when you create a component, this is how it looks. It comes with three sections. One is the template section, and we have script section. Yeah, look at this. This is your script section here, and then you have style section. So in the template section, you can mention your UI tags, HTML tags over here, and create a view. And in the script section, you can have all your business logic related to this particular component. And in the style section, you can add all your CSS for styling purpose. Now let me show you how you can create forms. This is nothing fancy. I mean, it's just creating of tables. So table is one of the HTML components. I'm not utilizing form over here, but in a while I'll show you how to create forms and all. But for this example, I'm showing you how to create table. This is just a basic table, and then we have two columns, job category ID and job category, and then in the body we have all the rows and the columns being populated. I'll show you how to populate the data from the REST API to your tables. Yeah. All right. So before this, let me show you what's there in the script section. So the first line says import axios from axios. So axios is an external library which helps you to interact with your APIs. So all your HTTP client and then HTTP related operations like git, put, post, delete can be done via axios. So when you create a component, we have export default, and then inside this we declare a name for this component. The name of this component is job category view, and then we have data section, and then uh, probably you can declare methods also if you have, or if you're trying to call in a method. All right, so now in our data section we have return section, which defines, you can declare, your like for example, you create class and then you create class members as class properties and all right. So similar way, uh, treat this component as a class, and then you have to declare class members. So all those class members can be declared in the data section, and it has to return something. So it will return an array called job cats. Yeah, this is how you declare the class members, or the members of this component essentially. And then we have the next section called mounted. So when you load the page, you want to get the data populated. So that is the reason I have mentioned mounted. And we have async and await method as well. So all those older style of coding is now gone. We can utilize async and await. I'm sorry. I say axios dot get. So axios, I'm importing from this package over here. I'm gonna say axios dot get, and then this get, I'm gonna mention the API URL over here. And then this is a promise. It says response, and now the response, whatever we get as a response, we are gonna assign that to this particular array, right? So it's very simple. You just have to make a get call from axios, and it takes URL as a parameter. You mention your API URL, and then you're gonna assign response data to this particular array. Now when you do this, it calls your API and gets the result. Now uh, it essentially gets the data from your API, but that should be bound to your table, columns and rows. Rows have to be populated, right? So this is your head section where you mention your column names, and in your body section of the table, you are going to loop through the JSON data, whatever you get as a response. So for that we have v4. So v4 is again a directive provided by Vue, and then the way you use this v4, it is similar to for each loops in C sharp. I'm not sure about other programming languages, but we have something called for each in C sharp. So it's very similar to that. So it's going to say for each items. This you can mention as items, or any name. You can give it any name, whatever you like. So I'm gonna mention it as items. So for each item in the job categories array, we're gonna loop through this array, and then we're gonna uh, say items dot job category. So this is double brackets is your interpolation, which displays your data. So and then we are going to mention what is the key. uh, so our key is our ID. So in our example it is job category ID. So we're going to loop through this response data, and in our TDs we're going to assign or we're gonna populate items dot job category, and then items dot job description. Yeah, so this is how you loop through your response data using v4. Now let me run this. uh, Let me add a new terminal. Essentially you have to bear with me, since my system is pretty slow today. I'm gonna say command prompt, and then I'm gonna say npm run and dev. Now if you see, you can see the response being rendered on this particular URL, right? I'm just gonna copy this, and then load it on the browser. So if you look at this, this is our JSON response from the API. This is my API URL, right? So now this has to be populated in your Vue. So I'm gonna say enter. Okay, so the reason for being this form being displayed is because we have declared a wrong component in the app.view. So let me change that. So in my app.view, I'm gonna say job category view, and then I'm gonna import this over here, and then I'm gonna declare this in the component section. All right, so now it's gonna build again, and then if you see over here, it's gonna display all the data in the tabular format from the API. Now look at this. This is our response from the API, and this is how it's getting displayed on the screen, looping through this JSON data. Yeah. So now let's go to form section and see how to create forms and then post the data, right? So let me switch back to Visual Studio Code. Now I'm going to undo this because job category add is new component where we're going to create forms and then interact with the form components. Yeah. Now let's switch to that particular component. For the interest of time, I'm not going to create all these forms. So I have the pre-written forms over here, which was meant for the demo purpose. Yeah. So we have template section as usual. So we can create your forms under this template section. So just gonna say form, and then you have two input values. One is for title and one is for user ID. Okay. So you have input type equals text, and then we have input type equals text. Basically two inputs for each of the fields, title and user ID, right? And yeah, in the form section we have submit on submit event. So when I say at submit, it is a short form of on submit event. So it's gonna call the add function, and the method is post. Now in the script section we have all the business logic. So we're gonna import axios if it is required from axios, and we're gonna say data. So in the data we are going to have something to be returned, and we essentially have an object. JC is an object which has three different key value pairs: title, body, and user ID, which we are going to return it later. So this is just a declaration, and then we are going to return array of job categories. So in this example, it may not be essentially job categories, but this is just a name. Yeah. Maybe we can change it to post. Mm, all right. So now we're gonna say add. We're gonna declare a method over here. You can go to methods section, and then inside this methods section, we're gonna declare a method called add, and it takes I mean it can be anything, or event, or you can name it anything. This is a parameter. So now the reason for being declaring this parameter is I'm gonna say e dot prevent default. So this will prevent the page from refreshing or reloading. Yeah. Now I'm not going to use API at the moment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this form values and log it in the console. Okay. The way I'm doing it is in the add method I'm gonna say console.log, and then how to access these object. So I'm gonna say this dot. So when you say this dot, it's gonna it's gonna use this object. We are able to use this object. So jc dot title, and then jc dot body, jc dot user id. Now we are going to utilize this object and we are going to log it in the console. But how is it interacting with the form? The way it is interacting or binding with the form values is using vmodel. So vmodel is another directive from vue.js. So it helps into a binding from data, model data to your form, and then back and forth. So v model is equal to jc dot body, jc dot title, and jc dot user id. So all these you know um key value pairs basically. Yeah. And then this line is added because I just wanted to log this in my add this in my Firebase database. But since I have problems with my Firebase authentication, so I'm going to discard this for now. But however, let me also you know comment this, and then comment this as well. And then now I'm gonna save it and go to screen. Now you are able to see for this, because we are calling the view component, the weave component of job categories. Now we have to call this add component basically. So I'm gonna go to this view and make these changes. Okay, so why is it still calling weave? Maybe I should refresh this. No, maybe I should close this and I'm gonna rerun this. Sorry. Now I'm gonna say npm run dev. Okay, I'm gonna copy this and then it is still taking the old values. Let me go to over here. Right. All right. So now look at this. We have three user inputs. So one for using entering the body, one for entering the title, and one for entering the user ID. So we're gonna say travel to Russia as title, and we're gonna say in the body section we're gonna say Russia is beautiful, and then we're gonna say user ID is equal to 1. So we are doing nothing in this component. We are just basically logging taking the values from the form components and then logging that into our console. So let me see if we are able to log that in our console. When I say add it's gonna log the values in the console. So now this can be added in your database. So I was trying to do that, but unfortunately, due to my Firebase authentication problem, I'm not able to add that in my database till the issue gets resolved. But however, you can post the data to your the other database, and yeah, this is pretty much it. You can use you can use let me try that. Go to this add component. You can use axios, and then over here you can say dot post, and then uh, you know give your URL. Yeah, what do you say? API URL, and then pass this payload, and then you can add respective values to your database. Yeah. Right. So this is how we're gonna interact with our forms, and then use Axios to interact with APIs. Yeah. So any comments, any suggestions, any valuable libraries that you want to suggest me, so put that in my comment section. So I also have dumped these codes in my GitHub account, so I'm gonna drop that URL in my description section as well. Yeah, thank you.